Hello everyone. In this video, we'll learn about the peace clause in the WTO. Peace clause is basically the Article 13 of the Agreement on Agriculture. This really means that domestic support measures and export subsidies which are legal under the AOA cannot be challenged. So when the Agreement on Agriculture came, agriculture, as you know, is a very important issue for most countries because a lot of their population depends on agriculture for their food subsistence, and also farmers are not only a very large chunk of population in the developing countries, they are an important vote bank also. So no government can afford to alienate these two sets of groups. So the Agreement on Agriculture made an express provision that there can be certain domestic support measures and export subsidies which are considered to be legal under the AOA, and hence they cannot be challenged. This was the peace clause. But the peace clause is basically supposed to end, after which these things will become illegal under the AOA. Okay, some details about the agricultural subsidies from the AOA. The first clause was that the countries were supposed to reduce the subsidies by 20% from the aggregate measure of support levels prevailing in 86-88. So this means whatever support you were providing in 86-88, you were supposed to cut down the subsidies by at least 20% from that level. Then for the developing countries, they could provide subsidies, but the subsidies were not to exceed 10% of production. Now the issue in this is an important point. I would like you to focus a little bit here, that the production is a current production, but the prices that are used, because subsidies is in money, the prices are that of 86-88. So you multiply the price level of 86-88 with the current quantity production of today, and then you get the total production in rupee terms. Then you take 10% of that. So your subsidies are not to exceed that value, the 10% of this value, 86 prices multiplied by production of today. Now the rich countries are arguing that our food security bill that was in the offing exceeded this 10% value. So our subsidies, if this were to come into place, would exceed the 10% of production. And countries like Thailand, Pakistan are also opposed to our agricultural subsidies because they also think it will distort trade. So the Indian farmers, basically everyone is feeling that if once the farmers get this kind of support, because the MSP will be in place and the government will be buying the produce of the farmers at a very large level, the Indian farmers are getting a support which would then distort international trade. So this is the basic issue about the food security bill, which India was being cornered about. So why is this issue not existing for the developed countries? The developed countries are no longer providing market price support. So like what we are saying is that okay, we will provide a minimum support price, which is a market price support, and we will buy the produce of the farmer at that level. But the rich countries are no longer doing this. Instead of this, they have moved to decoupled income support. What this means is they provide some money to the farmers irrespective of their production. So they say we are just giving our farmers some money and that has nothing to do with their production. So hence it is decoupled income support, and hence it will not distort trade. But whether it distorts trade or not, that is again a contentious issue, and people have been arguing over this. Okay, India's concerns obviously is that we do need to provide food subsidies because majority of our people are poor. With the revised party estimates, also the people living below party line is a huge number, and we do need to provide food subsidies for food security of the country. And also we do need to stockpile our food grains, because otherwise at a later stage, if there is some calamity or because of which the agricultural production falls, we cannot afford to again go back to importing food grains, which will again compromise our food security. Okay, so the basic issues, what we are saying is that first of all is the issue of base year. The 86-88 base year, at that time we were not providing that much support. So if we have to cut it down by 20% compared to that base year, it is really unfair for countries like India. That is the first issue. Second issue is that we are saying that our subsidies are not even 10% of what the US is providing as decoupled income support. So are we not even allowed to do that much for our people? That is the second issue. Third, we are saying that if we are providing, minimum support price to our farmers for domestic use, it is not that we are providing this support for them to export, then how is it really distorting trade? So this is a strong argument of India, but the other countries are basically saying that any subsidy which is provided can be diverted into basically subsidizing exports. So, well, this is really an issue which is hasn't been resolved as yet. Both sides have their points of view, but what India is saying is, because we are only doing it for our domestic producers and for our domestic consumption, it is not really distorting any trade. Now, India gave some options to the world. First of all, they said that the food procurement subsidies should be dropped from the list of trade distorting subsidies. Like we said that India's contention is that because this is only a domestic issue, the domestic procurement and domestic subsidy provision is not really trade distorting, so we should just remove it from the list. Secondly, they said, and it should be calculated on a more recent base year as opposed to the existing base year of 86-88. So that is the second thing we are saying. And the third thing we are saying is it should be linked to inflation. Now, I told you, when we are trying to calculate the 10%, we take the prices of 86-88 and the quantity of today. But obviously with inflation, in India we have had a continuous rising prices. So with inflation, the prices that existed in 86-88 do not have, absolutely have no relation with the prices of today, and the 10%, if we calculate on those prices, it comes to a very small number, which we think is not fair for countries like India. So we are saying this should be indexed to inflation. So this is basically what India's stand is on the issue. Okay, so this is just basically some, how it's progressed in time. In Bali, what was decided was that this will be valid till a permanent solution is found. But they also gave a 4 years time, that is till 2017, to resolve. So they said, okay, this issue of peace clause, whether subsidies should be, exempted, or till how long they should be exempted, what all should be exempted, you need to find a permanent solution within 4 years. But till then, the peace clause will be in place. But now, which is considered to be a major victory for the Modi government under the Indo-US agreement, this peace clause is valid till a permanent solution is found. So till a permanent solution which would incorporate at least some points which India has been arguing, till that is done, the peace clause will be valid. So this means after the Indo-US deal, we have gotten indefinite immunity from all future disputes, even if India exceeds a 10% prescribed limit for granting farm subsidies to its poor and marginal farmers. This is only till a permanent solution is found, until a permanent solution is found to the farm subsidy issue. And some conditions remain, like establishing that food procurement program being protected do not distort world trade. We need to prove this for us to be able to permanently solve this issue. These are the basic points on which are contingent on which the permanent solution is contingent. Okay, after the Indo-US deal, we've gotten the indefinite peace clause, which means immunity from future disputes, which cleared the path towards TFA. So Modi government was using TFA as a bargaining chip with the US, saying that we will not sign the TFA until you give us immunity under the peace clause indefinitely till a permanent solution is found. So we did get that, and now the path is clear towards accepting the TFA. There's another video explaining TFA. So in this we try to explain the peace clause and what the controversy surrounding that is. Thank you for watching. Hope you like the video. Comments and suggestions are welcome. Thank you.